So Mayor Brandon Johnson stepped in it. Mayor Brandon Johnson stepped in it so bad because his approval rating is abysmal. 80% disapproval rating. I've had people like Jimmy Dore tell me about, hey, what's going on in Chicago? And it's abundantly clear here in this city that Mayor Brandon Johnson has done the impossible and has become hated more than Lori Lightfoot. I know. I'm as surprised as all of you. So he went to speak before Congress, and as a mayor, he could have done a hell of a lot better job. Now he did at first try and hype up Chicago as being this wonderful city, but as a mayor, he has earned the hatred and anger from every single one of his constituents, from the north side to the south side of Chicago. And when you pull off something that ignorant, that foolish, you show a lot of people that you're just not ready for this kind of a job, that you don't have what it takes. So here was his opening salvo before Congress.
The city is also safer because of our welcoming city ordinance. That law makes sure that the city's police resources are focused on our local priorities. In fact, the 40 years of Chicago's leaders have recognized that our policies toward
Barnes Homestead, don't you put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby. Rahm is coming to save Chicago. Dude, Barnes Homestead, get up and go see the White House counselor right now.
Civil immigration matters help to prevent and solve crimes. Put simply, any actions that amplify fears of deportations make Chicago more dangerous. Those fears cause witnesses and victims to avoid cooperating with police. The cooperation of all people, regardless of their immigration status, is essential to achieving the city's goals of reducing crime and pursuing justice for victims. When there is trust between city's residents and the police, undocumented immigrants come forward to report crimes to local law enforcement and provide information that helps the police solve those crimes.
Where are you pulling out those numbers from, Mayor Brandon Johnson? I mean, already you're hemorrhaging staff members and people in your administration. Your approval rating is abysmal. You have 80% disapproval. I mean, the polls are not in your favor. 2027 is going to be another hodgepodge gaggle of a who's going to be running for Chicago mayor. I can't wait for it. It's going to be ever so much fun for Hard Lens Media. But it's very clear that the city is struggling financially. And since the city is struggling financially, Mayor Brandon Johnson was given the task to ask how much money was spent on migrants in the last few years while testifying before Congress.
Johnson, coming back to you, how much did your city spend on illegal immigration? Do you have a round number?
Over the last couple of years on all newcomers, whatever their
Now, this is Johnston, not Mayor Johnson. So hold on. Here we go.
status was.
This was one of the other mayors that was brought before Congress.
It's around 79 million since 2022.
79 million. Mayor Johnson, Chicago. How much has the city of Chicago spent on illegal immigration?
Now, here's our mayor. All right, Johnston and Johnson. Try and say that 3 times fast. You're going to get tongue-tied.
If you're referring to the 2022 up to 2024 of the buses coming from Texas, roughly the same percentage of the state of Texas, about 1% of our overall budget.
What is that? Because I don't have the city's budget in front of me. Number.
We need numbers, baby. Hold on. Because if Johnson's going to do, yes, I pre-watched this. Johnson's going to do what he's going to do. He's going to put his foot in his mouth.
If you're referring to the 2022 up to 2024 of the buses coming from Texas, roughly the same percentage of the state of Texas, about 1% of our overall budget.
What is that? Because I don't have the city's budget in front of me. Numbers.
It's 1%. And if you want the actual calculation, we can make sure someone.
You're the mayor. You don't have the math in front of you.
It's one.
Where's the numbers? I'm looking up. I'm looking down. I'm looking left, right. Now I'm looking at your pockets. Where's the numbers, baby? You don't have the. You're going before. Listen. I invoke the name of Alphonse Capone, Saint Alphonse Capone, who didn't do anything wrong and was wrongly detained by the IRS. Just what are you doing? Before Congress, you don't have the numbers? You're embarrassing my city. I mean, come on.
1% of the overall budget over the
All
last
right, that's
4
why
years,
you're a failing
which
mayor.
is the
Mayor
same
Adams,
number that
how much is the city's budget in front of me? Numbers.
it's 1%. And if you want the actual calculation, we can make sure someone.
You're the mayor. You don't have the math in front of you.
It's 1% of the overall budget over the
All
last
right, that's
4
why you're a
years,
failing
which
mayor.
is the
Mayor
same
Adams,
number that
how
was
much did the
sent from
city of
us
New
from
York
the
actually
state
spend
of
on
Texas.
illegal immigration? Mayor Johnson, I already asked you. You don't have a hard number, and if you don't have a hard number, you're not running your city well. Mayor Adams, how much?
Oh. I'm sorry. That warrants this. I love you, but here we go.
Oof. 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 Oof.
Beautiful.
Did the city of New York actually spend on illegal immigration?
6.9 billion of taxpayers.
$6.9 billion of taxpayer money on a problem that was fostered on the American people. Mayor Wu, in the city of Boston, how much did you spend?
We don't ask about immigration status and delivering city
You don't
services,
ask
so
about
we
how
don't
much
have
money
that
the city
number.
of Boston has spent on illegal immigration.
We
Are you
don't
out of your
distinguish
mind?
between immigration status.
Where's the money? I'm looking up, down, left, right, BA, select, start. Oh, man.
Do you
as
manage
part
your
of our
budget
city
or not,
policies.
Mayor Wu?
That is how we keep our
Mayor
city
Wu, do
safe.
you manage
We
your
have-
budget?
Okay, hold on. It gets better, my lovelies. It gets better. It gets better. First of all, I want to give a huge shout out to this individual, Jamal Green. We've interviewed him numerous times on my show. He ran twice for Chicago mayor, philanthropist, activist, organizer, and all in all, great commentary as well. Jamal Green, Congressman Perry asked Brandon Johnson a question we all want to know. Did you get elected by those who came here illegally or by the residents of the city of Chicago? It does call into question overall because the Democrat machine is losing party loyalists. Voter turnout in Chicago is abysmal. Okay, so for anyone, yes, I know there's a lot. Oh, Chicago's a communist hub. Oh, it's socialism. It's Marxist. No, it's not. It's a corporatist machine. It's a neoliberal machine. And the reason why there's a low voter turnout is because it's been beaten out of us. Okay, not that people in Chicago voted for this. It's like it doesn't matter. Those who vote are those that are, one, lame enough to show up, those who have hope, which I guess that would be me. Maybe we could change things. Guess I'm a sucker. And somebody's calling me without my permission. Live on air. And I got to mute this now. I am very sorry for that. The rules are you don't call Kit Cabela when I am going live. So there you go.
$160 million were issued to illegal alien job assistance shelters in Chicago. You're the mayor of Chicago. Do you think that your residents or the residents of your state should be paying for that more than they should be paying for their own needs, their own roads, their own public safety? I mean, who elected you? The people that came illegally, whether they were sent to you or not, or the people that reside in Chicago? Who elected you? And who do you serve?
The people of Chicago elected me as the 57th mayor of the city of Chicago, and we serve all the residents of the city of Chicago.
Illegal or not, criminal or not. How many of the 662,566 illegal aliens with criminal histories that ICE has reported are now residing in Chicago?
Someone will have to get back with you with that number.
You don't have the numbers. Jesus Christ, Mayor Brandon Johnson. You don't have the numbers about the money or the people. Like, this does call into a lot of questions, because here's the thing. What I never liked about the sanctuary cities, and this is something that me and Daniel brought up to a lot of these activists and organizers and a lot of people that want to have the feel-good points about beating Trump or looking better than Trump, or either that, trying to continue this Democrat narrative. Oh, yeah, we're more kind, is that there never was a plan. There wasn't a plan. This was just an emotional knee-jerk reaction to try and look better than Trump. All right. I always ask, was there a plan? And what were me and Daniel called? We were called racist or bigoted, or that we didn't understand. How are those glorified parades treating you right now? Vote blue no matter who. You pink pussy hat people. Mayor Brandon Johnson doesn't have the freaking numbers. And I remember, as soon as those migrants first came to Martha's Vineyard and they were kicked out. It's like, yep, that's going to happen to them. If Trump gets reelected, this is what's going to happen. There's no plan. There is no plan. And even if Biden were to be elected into office, this is going to still allow more toxicity and more anger as resentment continues to grow.
I don't keep account
Do you
of.
take immigration information from criminals as they're arrested and processed? Do you take immigration information?
Our local law enforcement focuses on getting
Do you
all
take,
violent
do you
individuals off the
determine
streets
whether
of
they're here
Chicago.
legally?
Now we're going to stop here. I want to pull this up here because this has to deal with now approval rating. Approval rating for these mayors, especially people like Brandon Johnson.
Okay, do you believe it's acceptable for illegals who commit heinous crimes be released back into the public instead of being detained and deported? Mayor Adams, yes or no?
Anyone break a crime?
Yes or no? This is not hard. Yes or no?
Anyone that break a crime should be detained.
Okay, Mayor, yes or no?
They should be deported.
Okay, Mayor,
Any individual
yes
that
or no?
causes harm
Yes or
and
no?
breaks
Okay,
the
Mayor
law
Wu,
should be held
this
accountable.
is why you have 6% approval rating, because you suck at answering questions.
Hey, look, this is the same mayor. Look, and look, he's from Chicago, but I'm not gonna defend him. Anytime he's held a press conference, anytime he's been challenged critically, he emotionally responds to the reporters. All right, this is mayor. In my opinion, from the actions and failed policies of Mayor Brandon Johnson, he will be a one-term mayor like Lori Lightfoot.
Mayor Wu, yes or no?
Anyone who's a public safety threat should be prosecuted.
All right, I have my next question. Okay, do you believe it's acceptable?
But it also happens here too.
Now, the most important thing that any elected official should focus on is to keep our citizens safe. There's no greater calling. Mayor Johnson, is Chicago a safe city?
We are a safer city since I've been in office. Crime
Safer
is down.
city. Okay, sir.
Crime is down
Sir, do you
over
know
20%.
that, sir? No, you're not
just
going to
this year
overtalk.
alone.
Mr. Chairman, I reclaim my time. You're not going to overtalk me. Brandon's, he was very nice, and he's a freshman. Not going to do that. In 2022, I find it interesting that you say Chicago's safe. You have a higher murder rate than Haiti. And the Biden administration put up a travel advisory saying to Americans, don't go to Haiti. I hope that the Trump administration puts up a travel advisory saying, don't go to Chicago. In fact, the Haiti has a murder rate of 18.02%. Chicago has a murder rate of 18.26%. I can see why, sir, you have a 14% approval rating.
Oof. Oof. Continuing.
Mayor Johnson, under Chicago law, would you turn this criminal over to ICE on a detainer?
Our local law enforcement works hard every day to get criminals off the streets of Chicago.
Would you
And
turn that criminal over to ICE? That's the problem. That's one of the topics of this conversation. That's one of the problems we've heard from Tom Hammond and from the Homeland Security is that in your cities, when someone's apprehended for a crime and ICE is now with this new federal policy wanting to come in and deport the criminal alien, that you will not cooperate with ICE. Will you turn that criminal over to ICE?
And we do not harbor criminals. Our local police department works hard every single day to ensure that the city of Chicago is
Yes
safe.
or no? Will you turn the criminal over to ICE?
With a criminal warrant from the federal government, our local law enforcement repeat.
That is so heavily scripted. I want to pull up this video again. This is just another iteration, but it has to do with tracking numbers.
So let me ask you this. Chicago residents reported 28,443 violent crimes during 2024 alone, cases of aggravated assault rising to the highest level in 2 decades. Now, also, state funds, $160 million were issued to illegal alien job assistance shelters in Chicago. You're the mayor of Chicago. Do you think that your residents or the residents of your state should be paying for that more than they should be paying for their own needs, their own roads, their own public safety? I mean, who elected you? The people that came illegally, whether they were sent to you or not, or the people that reside in Chicago? Who elected you? And who do you serve?
The people of Chicago elected me as the 57th mayor of the city of Chicago. and we serve all the residents of the city of Chicago.
Illegal or not, criminal or not? How many of the 662,566 illegal aliens with criminal histories that ICE has reported are now residing in Chicago?
Someone will have to get back with you with that number. I don't keep account
do you
of.
take immigration information from criminals as they're arrested and processed? Do you take immigration information?
Our local law enforcement focuses on getting all violent
do you
individuals off the
determine
streets
whether
of
they're here
Chicago.
legally, what their immigration status is as a function of your justice
Gentlemen,
system?
time's expired, but please feel free to answer the question, Mayor.
The Welcome in City ordinance ensures that our local residents communicate and trust local law enforcement to ensure that criminals and crime is being addressed.
So
And
you
that's
have
why
no
violent
idea how
crime
many are illegal.
has
Thank
gone
you,
down
Mr.
in the
Chairman.
city
I'll
of
yield.
Chicago. Thank you very much.
Chair now.
So
Now, the thing is, here's the problem with Mayor Brandon Johnson, because this was also a recent thing that took place. Huge shout out again to Jamal Green. Brandon Johnson said he made $2.5 billion worth of investment in Chicago at his hearing today. So he had the numbers for that, the investment into Chicago. Did he not learn to stop lying like Lori did with the Invest Southwest? Why lie on the national stage? The neighborhoods and downtown have gotten worse, and there's nowhere you will see billions of dollars worth of investments. Embarrassing and offensive. And as somebody who had to take care of some of his family members here in Chicago these past few months, going downtown has been an absolutely sad sight. I saw a lot of things on State Street and on Michigan Avenue, buildings boarded up, real estate closed down, buildings in disrepair, roads closed off. I'm not seeing the billions of dollars worth of investment into the city. In fact, I'm seeing a rise of homelessness, a rise of despair, and our infrastructure falling apart. I mean, just a few days ago, on February 27th, a large steel pipe fell down on the Kennedy Highway connecting to Lake Street and was on the way to O'Hare Airport. And you saw people rolling this huge beam off the road. I mean, thank goodness nothing happened to me when I was driving to O'Hare Airport. Thank goodness no steel beam landed on me. Continuing on.
Topic. Mayor Johnson, I want to start with you. One of your first actions as mayor was establishing a deputy mayor for immigrant, migrant, and refugee rights. I want to ask you a series of questions. If you could answer with a yes or no answer, that'd be great. First of all, do you support allowing illegal aliens to obtain driver's licenses? Just yes or no?
Do you have the answer? Oh my God, do you have the answer? Please stop making my city look bad.
So the city of Chicago has been a welcoming city for over 40 years.
I'll take that as a yes. Next question.
And that's the policy.
No, that's God damn. Oh, Mayor Brandon Johnson's got to go. He's stupid.
That we will hold to.
Do you support tax dollars subsidizing or paying for the health care of illegal aliens?
I support investments in all residents of the people of Chicago, and that's what I do.
That's a yes as well. Do you support free or reduced college for illegal aliens?
Again, I support the investments of all residents of the people of Chicago.
That is a yes. Next question. Do you support allowing non-citizens to vote in local elections?
Again, I'm not over the jurisdiction of that type of law, but again, I'm committed to investing in all residents of the people
I'll
of Chicago.
take that as a yes. I've got an article from the Chicago Sun-Times, and I'll quote here briefly. Johnson proposed, among other things, that all residents, regardless of citizenship status, be able to vote for Chicago Board of Education members. Next question. Your website states, and this is your campaign website, quote, "I will not stop fighting until abortion access is completely secure for people all over the country," end quote. Yes or no, do you support taxpayer-funded abortions for illegal aliens?
I support the reproductive rights of all people, all women.
That is a yes as well. Your mayoral transition website mentioned support for creating a Chicago Board of Education non-citizen.
No, he couldn't find a better response. And yet there are people saying, oh, he did really well. That was heavily scripted and he was ill prepared. He made our city look bad.
Advisory Board. Again, yes or no, do you support appointing non-citizens to government advisory boards?
I was invited here today to discuss welcoming
Yes
cities.
or no?
I was invited here to discuss welcoming
This is a
cities.
yes or no
If you're
question.
interested in asking me
You're not
questions
gonna
about the
filibuster.
welcoming
I'll
city,
take that as a
I'm
yes.
happy to
We're gonna
answer
move
those.
You got those 4 mayors up there. They're like doing the group homework assignment, and Mayor Brandon Johnson is the only person that didn't bring his work. He was hoping the other people did it.
questions.
No, we're going to move on. As you know, President Trump, unlike the previous administration, has taken serious action to bring foreign criminal gangs to justice, to take our border back and to restore public safety in our communities. He designated 8 transnational criminal organizations and cartels as foreign.
Now, the thing is, something interesting did happen. Representative Anna Paulina tells the 4 Democrats that she's referring them to the Department of Justice for upholding sanctuary city policies. So she says it's all 4 of them. I don't know if all 4 of them will be crapping their pants or making the brown, but they're in a little bit of trouble.
Don't believe that banning the transfer of individuals into ICE custody for the purpose of civil immigration enforcement encourages illegal immigration into Chicago.
We
Or
can-
how about agencies, sorry, 1 second,
Mhm.
or agents not being able to stop, arrest, or detain individuals based solely on their immigration status or administrative warrant?
So we comply with all laws, local, state, and federal.
To me, after this line of questioning, it's very clear that these policies that you have all implicated are active and alive and well in your cities, are in direct violation with U.S. Title 8 Code subsection 1324 and is a federal offense. But you all speak about a broken immigration system, and yet here you guys are aiding and abetting in that entire process. I want to be very clear about something. Open border policies, which is something that you guys are talking about, hurts people on both sides, meaning the people that are coming here illegally and then American citizens as well. I do not think you guys are bad people, but I think that you are ideologically misled, which is why, unfortunately, based on your responses, I'm all going to be criminally referring you to the Department of Justice for investigation. And as soon as I leave here, these will be going over to Pam Bondi. I'm not doing that in an effort to.
Now, wait a minute. Hold on. You're giving that to Pam Bondi, the same person who fumbled with the Epstein files? All right, whatever. Even AOC was dumb enough to say, "Oh, Department of Justice, what are you doing to me?" Okay, whatever. We'll see what happens.
Bully you guys, but I do believe that your policies are hurting the American people, and you can make that known with the evidence that you can present to the Department of Justice. But if you guys continue doing what you're doing, you're not going to help anyone. You're going to hurt more people, and that's exactly why I'm tired of it. The American people are tired of it. And Chairman, I yield my time.
Would you yield your last minute?
Yes, sir.
Now, real quick here, I noticed Torwin says, I mean, she is the Attorney General, so she has to give it to her. I understand. I'm just a little bit perturbed and angry that all of a sudden people have conveniently forgot about the Jeffrey E. fun time, you know? Like, come on, that Friday thing where everyone's jumping up for joy. I know, but I just kind of am hoping that there's a resolution to that. So what can we take away from this? Well, Mayor Brandon Johnson, at least according to all reports, his numbers are still down. I mean, he did not do an all-star performing job reaching out, or is it at explaining his case before the members of Congress. He stuttered and stammered with his questions. I would say it's 50-50. It's a D+ there. I want to give him a grade. It was a D+. That wasn't an all-star pushback. And this is a mayor that has received so much hate and so much disdain from everyone, all the communities here in Chicago. And Chicago is a hyper-segregated, divided city. It's not unified. It's not together. It is heavily fractured. It is divided. It's falling apart. There's a lot of corruption. There's abuse of power. There's money missing. And now, on top of that, you have Mayor Brandon Johnson unable to really defend the policies of a sanctuary city. And look, I understand people escaping war zones. The reason why we have a migrant crisis at the border is because, again, of regime change wars, sanctions, and of course the war on drugs. How could we forget that? And a rational person that's trying to live their life, or either that trying to raise their family. Maybe they don't want to live under a dictator or live in the middle of a civil war or be next to a cartel, because guess what? 99.9%, oh, better yet, 100% of the time, somebody close to them or they themselves or their entire community could suffer absolute destruction and mayhem. So a rational person will take that arduous march to leave and go to a better land. And they in turn are treated like pawns, like by both the Democrat and Republican politicians, be they U.S. senators and U.S. House representatives, governors or mayors or state representatives or state senators. So that's the problem. And Mayor Brandon Johnson, mayor of Chicago, a major metropolitan city, was like a fish out of water. He wasn't ready. He wasn't set. Unable to bring numbers before them, and not to mention being called out for his low approval rating. This, if anything, if there are going to be people running against Mayor Brandon Johnson, this is political ammunition for all of them to use and to call him out. In my opinion, he is a one-term mayor. And in my opinion, Mayor Brandon Johnson embarrassed himself before Congress.